Hello, our friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family. Happy New Year.
Oh, Happy New Year.
Yes, and we did a video. We did 2 videos earlier, and it's just there's some things we just got to talk about. And there is a blackout in Puerto Rico. 90% of the island hit with a power outage. Yeah, they've gotten used to blackouts at times in Puerto Rico. Again, at least it's a place where the temperature is pretty much always between, say, 70 and 90. So, you're not going to freeze to death. You might sweat some. But, again, it's a sign of the times for sure. Then you have bird flu hitting Ohio. Nearly 1 million chickens culled. Yeah, I wonder, Cindy said, is there anywhere we could find stats on exactly how many, chickens, turkeys, and maybe even cattle, etc., have we lost, in maybe the last 5 years or so? The reality is, I remember seeing some of though, I don't have it up right now, that was showing in some cases, I believe, like total head of cattle. What we have now is comparable to what we had maybe in the 50s, which, at that point in time, we had half the population we do now. I just think of the words of the Polish psychic that was saying, come April, just April, only like 4 more months away, we're going to look back at the prices of food in 2024 and say it was cheap. That means there's going to be some sort of, if he's right, some sort of major escalation, which is going to hit the food chain. And this could be part of it.
Well, it's definitely not looking very good, and it does kind of go along with the theme of, the controllers taking control over the food sources. I just don't understand, I'm not encouraging anyone to break the law. However, if the sign says, veer left off the cliff in your car just because the sign says so, are you going to drive your car off the cliff? I'm looking at this and it's like, really, are people honestly, aimlessly just going along without asking questions? That's the concern. But then we're also looking at California. So a lot of people there kind of just go along in California.
Well, again, it's the system, and we're communicating via the system in one way, shape, or form right at the moment. So, again, trying to work through communication in a manner in which the system just doesn't, so to speak. You have dead waterfowl in 9 other counties, and over 931,000 chickens in Darke County, Ohio, have been culled. You can't help but just feel like we're really heading into a deeper storm here. It's not just the chicken, it's wreaking havoc on California dairy farms. California's dairy industry is in crisis. 71% of the herds infected by H5N1. Well, they just simply cull the chickens. Are they just going to cull 71% of California's dairy herd? Do we realize what that's going to do to food costs, and then ultimately with this going in the direction it's going? When people are starving and having a hard time feeding their family, which we have not really seen severe lack of food, as in you go to the store and there's really nothing to choose from. That hasn't happened yet. And there have been a lot of people that have been crying Chicken Little for a long time, saying, that's right around the corner, that's right around the corner. It hasn't happened. It has definitely gotten way more expensive. I don't know about you guys, but for us, our number one major expense is absolutely the food bill. I don't know, is it the same with you guys? Because the food bill is more than our housing, it's more than the cost of the vehicle and the insurance, and it's actually, I would say, the food is more than everything else combined in our case. Is that the case in your household? Please do share.
Well, it's so difficult, if you're someone and you have to like I have to eat a certain diet. I have to have certain foods, and those foods can be very hard to find. And when you do find them, you're looking at triple, quadruple the prices. So it's either you just suck it up and pay that, or you just don't eat very much. It's really putting a lot of people in a conundrum.
The way this world is right now, it's like Cindy was saying, you could see there's a cliff straight ahead, and all the road signs are telling you to drive right off that cliff. And if you posted, something saying there's just an open cliff right ahead of you, don't go that way, they would community note you and tell you there's no evidence that you're going to go off that cliff.
Right.
There's no evidence that that cliff is just going to oblivion. They would do a community note, or, they would take and pull your message, again, saying it violates some sort of something or other, community standard. Meanwhile, all you're trying to do is tell people, don't drive off the cliff. And this is the reality. So what does that tell you?
It's kind of the conditioning of our society. It's where we're at, and I think it's something that we all need to take a deep breath and look at and figure out, okay, what are we going to do from here? How are we going to make these changes? What is it going to be like in my area? And we all, believe it or not, we all have a little bit of control over that. When it comes to manifestation, there are ways to adjust yourself and adjust your life and adjust those around you so things can be a little bit better.
Yeah, so anyway, you could see the words here. So they're going to address this, of course, with one of these things that's highlighted there. Ouch. And, if they don't cull the entire thing, then they're going to do that. To me, that's culling it, because I would have nothing to do with anything that has any of those products in it. And, this is from the Daily Mail, so this is, again, out there for everybody to see. We know there's collaboration going on between two countries that are heading to war, basically, the US and China, but they're collaborating to make things worse. What's wrong with people that they don't put two to two together? I mean, it's just incredible. But again, the water, the food, everything is geared so that people won't be able to think clearly, or they'll just have such a malaise that they won't do anything. Meanwhile, we have all sorts of fake, and also, unfortunately, you have fake that will make everybody, or make certain people again, say, it's all just CGI, or it's all just our military, and, again, just anything to get people to not take seriously the fact that there are other beings here besides us that have more technology than we do. They use it in all sorts of mysterious ways, and they also get us to do most of the dirty work ourselves. This is East Texas, December 30th in the morning here. What was that? It's not hail, but, everybody is talking about this fog. It's so big, and this is saying a third of the population in the U.S. is experiencing unprecedented waves of dense fog. The thickest experienced in more than several decades, and then just everywhere. It's not just the U.S. I mean, look at the comments just on our channels. People all over, UK, you name it. They're all experiencing this, and that's not snow. Again, in Florida, in Texas, in places where it's warm, what is this stuff just wafting down to the ground? And meanwhile, people are getting very sick, lots of cases of flu-like symptoms, as you can see, California, Florida, Georgia, Minnesota, South Carolina, Oklahoma, Wisconsin, Utah, Missouri, New York, Arkansas, Texas, Louisiana, Nebraska, Toronto, UK, Caribbean, Trinidad, Barbados. They all got this weird fog going. What's really, really going on here? This is just pure curious, isn't it? What does this say? Oh, smart materials based on nano technology currently being developed to be deployed They'll be able to communicate with each other by steering themselves within a fog. Oh, okay. Army research experiments. Yeah. Fog. Okay. Yeah. Oh, it's just going to be against, enemy soldiers. Yeah, sure. Okay. Tell us another one, Uncle Darpa.
There's a lot of weird stuff going on with the fog, and it's not just fog either. There's a smell to it. A lot of people are talking about a smell. And what an appropriate time for this fog to get loose if there's something strange in it, because people have been out and about and they've eaten a lot of sugar. They're lacking vitamin D. Their immune systems are not at their strongest. And we have this going on. So I don't know what's going on, but it's just awfully strange.
Yep. And you have the largest convoy sent in by the U.S. into Syria since the fall of Assad, over 60 trucks going into Syria. Again, if Mexican military came across the U.S. border, don't you think everybody would have a problem with it? Well, it's again another breach into another country, and this all came from Iraq. So that's a country that the U.S. and NATO, basically bombed twice, and has been sitting there with our military forever, for decades now. Here you go. You wonder why so much of the world can't stand the U.S. and NATO. Then you have this real-time radiation world map, which is for development purposes only, not to be taken seriously. I guess it's just for entertainment purposes. Once again, the Ouachita area, great, beautiful area. 776 is what they're showing it, whether that's real, whether it's fake. It's extremely high as far as radiation, as you see here, CPM. Mobile, Alabama area, 404. So, that's pretty high too. And, okay, Tucson's 400 and some 420 is what it's usually reading. So what is this really? Because it's been poo-pooed a lot, but at the same time, we all know that there's a radiation issue that can go through some communications structures, metal tall ones, you know what I mean? And also through our handheld devices and et cetera, et cetera. Here you're up in Chicago. It's a little elevated over there too. Again, maybe this is just nothing. It's just entertainment. Nothing to it. Unreliable. But what's really reliable in this world when it comes to any sort of mainstream media? This is not mainstream, but let's look at Germany again. Same thing, 4100. There was an extremely high reading before in Germany. I thought that was farther south though, before around Munich, but now it's up higher here. This is huge. 4100. You wouldn't want to be around that for very long at all if that is an actual real reading. Is it drones? Is it fog? Is it FIV period E? You know what becomes the letter that goes after H? Is it related to any of those? Is it nothing? Cardiff, 277. Over here, west of London, 783. And then northwest, 256. There's some pretty big readings. Again, this could be a nothing burger, or it could be, a sign of something much, much bigger going on. They thought they figured everything out, understood Bigfoot and all, and, the family tree is very, very, it's obfuscated. The hominid family tree, there's a lot of dead links, and we're still looking for some missing links.
Well, I don't know that apple doesn't fall too far from that tree, though.
Well, the one thing that's for sure is that in the times ahead, there's going to be a lot of people that may actually be hungry, and not that there's not already a ton of people on the planet that are very, very hungry. None of those politicians, none of the elites, none of the billionaires. I saw a number. It was just staggering. Like the 500 richest people have gosh, what was that number? It was $150 trillion in assets. You know, it just shouldn't be that way. I don't think that there's any reason for any one person to hold so much energy. So in my mind, and I'm not a capitalist, but I'm not a communist, and I'm not a socialist, and I'm not, again, any of these labels, because they're all the system's labels. I think we could do a heck of a lot better. It's no sense at all that people, such small groups of people, can hold so much resources when others are literally dying. And then we look to those that hold all these resources to guide us. I think that's the definition of insanity.
Sounds like it.
Yeah, I mean, seriously. Again, billionaires get that way by the system. They're all actors. They're all here playing their roles. And this bull is playing his role. This bull is he's not necessarily the ride home, the safe ride home. But, this guy had a little bit too much to drink. And the bull's going to walk him home. He had a few too many, so his partner here is going to head him home in the right direction safely.
Yes, he's probably has some grain waiting for him, maybe.
Yeah, I think he's had enough grain. Yeah. But, if you guys are out there partying tonight, do be careful driving. And even if you're not, be careful for the nuts that are out there drinking and driving.
Keep in mind, so many people that are out there drinking they're not usually drinking, so they might. Well, it's kind of like they're all amateurs, so just be careful out there.
And thank you guys so much for your support on Patreon. We couldn't do it without you guys. Source bless and namaste.
Namaste.